So today we're in Aachen, Germany, and Aachen is a city that's south of Cologne. And Aachen is known for several things, but the thing it's known the most for is the cathedral in Aachen. And it was built in the 9th century, which would be in the early 800s. And it was built for Charles the Great, or Charlemagne.
And interestingly, it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, cathedral in Northern Europe, and one of the first to become a World Heritage Site, listed by UNESCO.
And when you see the structure's a little weird because it was built in different phases. So the first portion was actually an octagon-shaped portion with a very Byzantine look. And it's added to later with Gothic architecture in the front and in the back with the choir and the different chapels. So when you look at it, it's kind of this strange-looking cathedral.
Pieced together with weird shapes and...
But the most interesting portion of the cathedral is the mosaics on the inside. And that's pretty incredible.
Spectacular.
I mean, we've seen a lot of churches with a lot of different mosaics, and out of all the places we've seen, this has to be the best example of mosaics
artwork. It's
in a
pretty
building.
Remarkable. The glittery gold and bright blues and reds. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing.
It covers the entire ceiling and all the archways and domes. Spectacular.
It's really worth seeing. Now, you can get in for free, but they will charge you €1 if you want to take any photos or videos. But it's definitely worth, I think, doing that.
And some of the chapels are closed to tourists. You can't have access to those. But you do get to see the main section of the cathedral, the Byzantine octagon. And you can glimpse in the distance the shrine that holds the remains of Charlemagne, as well as a few other relics collected by the church.
That's really worth seeing. Now,
more sparkle.
So the other thing that's interesting in Aachen is the palace of...
Or what was the palace.
Or what was the palace.
It's now incorporated into the city hall.
Right. So they took the remains of it and turned it into City Hall.
Now, there is a museum in the city hall. They do charge an admission for that.
But when we were there, when we went to look at it, it was all temporary exhibits. It wasn't any exhibit that was actually a long-term exhibit.
Well, it's special this year, 2014, to commemorate the 1200th anniversary of the death of Charlemagne.
That's 1,200 years. That's not, that's a long time ago. So this is a very old place. And, you walk around and you see the different ruins and whatnot. So you see some Roman ruins, you see some medieval ruins, you see a lot of history there. And one of the things you also get to see is the city gates, or at least one set of the gates. And that's part of the medieval area. So you can actually walk through the gate. Now, you can't really go up and tour inside, but you get to walk through. And there's one area where you actually see the gate. It's actually raised, and you actually see what it used to look like. So you really get an idea of how they let people in and out of the city during that time period.
And how they fortified it, the attack from enemy forces.
Now, the walls are mostly gone, so you only see parts of the gate. There are a few remnants of walls
sections
from different time periods.
Some are incorporated into outdoor cafes and beer gardens. And
Aachen does a really good job with their artwork and their fountains as well. They have
sculptural art fountains.
Exactly.
Impressive.
Well, not only sculptural art, but also water movement. There's one fountain that actually has the sculptures around the fountain, but then has kind of this whirlpool with the water exiting the center of the fountain.
Something to do with money. So it's interesting, money circling the drain, or some such
deal.
Symbolism.
There's also a fountain with puppets on it, bronze puppets. That's really unique.
And that I heard someone saying was a carnival representation. So it represents the different characters you would see in carnival.
It's really wild and kind of creepy a little bit too. And there's also a spaceship sculpture where kids can play on. That's really interesting. So there's a lot going on in Aachen. Aachen is also known for this type of cookie. It's kind of like a gingerbread or a Lebkuchen, and it's called a Printen cookie.
And they come in really interesting sizes. You can get little small 1-inch, 2-inch cookies, or really big slabs of cookie.
Really big ones.
And they come with icings, like sugar icing, or almonds, chocolate coating.
White chocolate.
Look really good.
They're pretty good, and we actually bought the little bag of the ones with glazed with sugar, and the regular ones, and they're pretty tasty. But like I said, they're a lot like the E. Otto Schmidt,
the Lebkuchen you find in the rest of Germany.
Yeah. So all in all, we had a really good day in Aachen. We saw and did a lot of things for our afternoon there.
Well, another thing we wanted to mention, I think, about Aachen is how they have a lot of outdoor activities that seem to be going on. It's a university town. There are a lot of pedestrian walkways with cafes, beer gardens, lots of places to eat.
Lots of places to eat, and that's true. There's
ethnic restaurants.
A lot of diversity on places to eat. So they have, you know, their standard German fare. You can get some of that pretty cheap. There's a little place that we went in and got some currywurst and fries that were pretty decent. But there's also a little place that's a little baker that sells sandwiches to go, and they're fairly decently priced. And then there's Elsener Brunnen, as also a little restaurant. It's more like a cafeteria, but it's not too terribly priced. Now, the places we mentioned aren't excellent places to eat. They're just good places, and they're fairly reasonably priced, and they're conveniently located around. Yeah, it's good, but it's conveniently located around these areas that we talked about. But as Gayla mentioned, there's a plethora of just outdoor restaurants all across the city, and lots of outdoor spaces. And
pedestrian-friendly streets, so that you don't have to worry about traffic.
Yeah, so all in all, it's a really nice little city. If you're definitely anywhere near the area, or even if you're out of your way 2 or 3 hours, I would swing by if you're driving near here and stop in Aachen for sure. So anyway, that's it for today.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching our video, and remember, you can always find more information at www.mikestravelguide.com.
We're Mike and Gayla, taking you across Europe, one road trip at a time.
Don't forget to subscribe and like us on YouTube.